So after I recorded this video, now Donald Trump has given us 30 days of no tariffs, 30-day reprieve, because Canada has offered to put more troops on the border. All those mentions about it starting on February 4th, no longer the case. I guess it's now March 4th. Hey everybody, I guess you probably heard that there's been a lot of conversation about tariffs last few days, specifically about the U.S. tariffing other countries, specifically Mexico, Canada, and China, at least in this first wave. And I'm trying to get understanding of what our Canadian government is going to do about that. Now, I know we're in a weird position right now because Trudeau technically has resigned, but is still in power for the next few months, while another interim leader is selected for the leader of the Liberal Party. And then on top of that, there'll be a leadership race, or an election after that, rather, to see who becomes the next Prime Minister of Canada. That has to happen by October. I believe it's October, maybe it's November. So we're kind of in this weird position where we have this Prime Minister who is on his way out, but still representing us, didn't do a very good job negotiating with Trump previously, and now he's the one doing some negotiation with Trump. So I'm just interested to hear what he has to say here on these tariffs, and what we're going to be doing going forward.
Today, the United States informed us they will be imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian exports to the United States and 10% on Canadian energy. A decision that, should they elect to proceed with, should take effect on Tuesday, February 4th. This is a choice that, yes, will harm Canadians, but beyond that, it will have real consequences for you, the American people. As I have consistently said, tariffs against Canada will put your jobs at risk, potentially shutting down American auto assembly plants and other manufacturing facilities. They will raise costs for you, including food at the grocery stores and gas at the pump. They will impede your access to an affordable supply of vital goods crucial for U.S. security, such as nickel, potash, uranium, steel, and aluminum. They will violate the free trade agreement that the President and I, along with our Mexican partner, negotiated and signed a few years ago.
So we made a free trade agreement, which I guess we had one before, but I guess they renewed it several years ago when Trump was in power previously. And so we had been operating under that renewed free trade agreement, which you would think he would have kind of improved it for himself. Maybe he feels he didn't do a good enough job. But now we're back to, okay, I guess he doesn't like the deal. He thinks they're being screwed on the deal, which is interesting because he made the deal. He made the deal, and now Trump has basically been saying that we have a deficit with the Canadian trade with the U.S. So essentially he feels like they're losing out on money, thus why he's putting a tariff. But he made the deal. So he made a bad deal? So, I'm like, okay, I mean, if he wants to admit that, I guess that's what he's admitting, even though he's not saying it. He's saying he made a bad deal. Okay, whatever.
But it doesn't have to be this way. As President John F. Kennedy said many years ago, geography has made us neighbors, history has made us friends, economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies. That rang true for many decades prior to President Kennedy's time in office, and in the decades since. From the beaches of Normandy to the mountains of the Korean Peninsula, from the fields of Flanders to the streets of Kandahar, we have fought and died alongside you.
All the good wars. Actually, I don't know. Was the Korean War a good war? I guess we have North and South Korea now. So I guess potentially necessary type thing, especially seeing how North Korea turned out. I don't know anything about the Korean War. I don't know who started it, what was happening. Was it like a civil war? I don't know. Okay, not the point. Not the point of this video. So let's move on.
During your darkest hours, during the Iranian hostage crisis, those 444 days we worked around the clock from our embassy to get your innocent compatriots home. During the summer of 2005, when Hurricane Katrina ravaged your great city of New Orleans.
I like how what is her name there in the background? Is it Marie Jolie or something? I feel like I might be getting her name slightly wrong. But I like how she sits in the back. She just nods. She's the new Krista Freeland, just sitting at the nodding head. Yes, I agree. Good job, Trudeau. I agree. So, oh my God, he loves the nodding head people. Why do they all turn out to be women? I don't think that the guys just look serious. The men. The women are always like, yes. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. Or I'm not seeing it all or something.
Or mere weeks ago, when we sent water bombers to tackle the wildfires in California. During the day the world stood still, September 11th, 2001, when we provided refuge to stranded passengers and planes, we were always there.
So talking about what, 9/11? I know that there was planes that landed in Canada during 9/11, like temporarily. I don't really know what we did, like how much we did about that regarding that. But I would imagine we did some sort of help. So that's okay. Maybe I should look into that at some point. I don't actually know what we did.
Standing with you, grieving with you, the American people. Together, we've built the most successful economic, military, and security partnership the world has ever seen. A relationship that has been the envy of the world. Yes, we've had our differences in the past, but we've always found a way to get past them.
You know, it's so weird, this whole thing that's happening right now, and it maybe it's not even right now. It's slowly been shifting, and I don't know if this is since 9/11, but I remember growing up in the 90s, and we would cross the border into the U.S. on a trip, and I didn't even have to show like a passport or anything. I would just be like, I'd be sleeping in the car, frankly, and we get to the border. My parents would wake me up and be like, the guy rolled on the window. The border guard would like look in, and we would just, say, "Yeah, we're Canadian" or something like that, like, and answer a couple questions. I don't remember us having to do anything. I guess my parents probably had to show their driver's license because I don't think they had passports back then. They probably had to show their driver's license or something. But yeah, it was like very lax, and it feels like I want to say probably after 9/11, which is likely what caused it. Um, 2001, it just went security really ramped up, and then more things started to be required to cross the border, and it felt more like you were scrutinized, which wasn't really a thing before. At least not when I was a kid, but maybe I was a kid, so I didn't realize. But didn't seem like it anyways.
As I've said before, if President Trump wants to usher in a new golden age for the United States, the better path is to partner with Canada, not to punish us. Canada has...
Yeah, but we were always kind of partnered, right? We've always been basically partnered. Canada generally does whatever the United States wants, generally. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, like what changed?
critical minerals, reliable and affordable energy, stable democratic institutions, shared values, and the natural resources you need. Canada has the ingredients necessary to build a booming and secure partnership for the North American economy, and we stand at the ready to work together. Let's take a moment to talk about our shared border. Our border is already safe and secure, but there's always more work to do. Less than 1% of fentanyl, less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States come from Canada. But hearing concerns from both Canadians and Americans, including the American president himself, we're taking action. We launched a $1.3 billion border plan that is already showing results, because we too are devastated by the scourge that is fentanyl.
This point it just kind of bugs me because we spent so much time, at least probably the last 8 years, something along that lines. I know it was, yeah, more of an issue in the last 8 years, maybe prior to that, but we've had like border issues with people crossing illegally. The one that sticks in my mind is this Roxham Road in Quebec. I believe it's Quebec, where it's like some open fence. Like there's a fence, but then there's like a part of it that's open, and just people just walk from America into Canada. And I would assume, I guess, vice versa, they could just walk from Canada into America. And that was like an issue I can just think of in the last 8 years. That was talked about a lot. And there was people crossing, I want to say might have been Manitoba or Saskatchewan. They were crossing, like people had actually frozen to death and died because they did it in the winter. It wasn't this winter, but like previous winters, maybe like a year or two ago. They weren't properly dressed. They were, I don't know, like Haitians or something. I'm not sure exactly where they're from, but anyways, they didn't have proper clothing, and they froze to death. And people like come across with like frostbitten fingers and toes and things. And I mean, the border is huge. I don't even know how you would protect it, patrol it, whatever. I guess you would have to use like drones. This is where I guess robots and AI would be very helpful. But I mean, this has been a thing that's been happening during his premiership? No, prime ministership. Premier is provinces. During his prime ministership. So why does it take Donald Trump or these other people talking about it for you to do something? Like, you didn't do shit for so long, and then now when he speaks about it, Donald Trump speaks about it and threatens you with tariffs or whatever, then you're like, oh, we'll do something. Like, what were you doing before? You would think the Canadian government would work for the Canadian people and making things better for us, but nothing happens unless somebody else comes and says some shit. That's what it feels like.
A drug that has torn apart communities and caused so much pain and torment for countless families across Canada, just like in the United States.
This fentanyl thing actually hits very home to me living in Alberta. Now, Lethbridge, which is the city south of Calgary, and I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. So take it with you will. Take it with what you will. But some people have been telling me here that Lethbridge, which is, I think there's like 40,000 people there living there or something. I used to do a lot of like events down there, funny enough, actually, sporting events. And apparently there's a whole bunch of like Chinese gang people or something that actually have come in and are making fentanyl there and then shipping it across the American border. I don't know how they're getting across the border, but apparently that's something that's happening. So it's not like they're shipping it from China, if this is true anyways. They are making it in Canada and then shipping it across the border into the US. So I have heard this before. And when I heard that, I don't know, it was like a year or two ago, maybe something along that lines. So I'm not surprised that he's saying this. I don't think we send, I don't think we have a lot of drugs and things that go across the border, but we do have some. Nothing compared to obviously on the Mexican side, but we do have some, and we should obviously try to stop that. So, I mean, it's good for everybody. Like we need to get rid of these people out of our communities anyways, because we don't want fentanyl here. So it's not, maybe it's not so much about protecting the border. Yes, you have to do that, but if we could actually get rid of the people who are making the drugs in the country, because you know that they're selling those drugs here as well. It's not like they just ship it all to the States. They're going to sell it here. So if we could catch them here and take it out of our supply so we don't have this fentanyl or whatever they're making, meth, whatever it is, and then also as well, they wouldn't be able to make it and ship it across the border. So be a double win.
A drug that we too want to see wiped from the face of this earth. A drug whose traffickers must be punished. As neighbors, we must work collaboratively to fix this. Unfortunately, the actions taken today by the White House split us apart instead of bringing us together.
There's something to be said about that. Definitely when, putting these tariffs onto us, it does make us kind of pissed off at America. It does. And it's annoying. It's definitely annoying. And recently there was a hockey game. I don't know what city it was in, but I saw this clip online. But they were booing the American anthem when it was being sung because of these tariffs, essentially.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
God. So here we go. So now all we've done, if they have tariffed us, now we're tariffing them, or the goods that we buy from them. So what was the point of the tariffs in the beginning? Like, what was the point? What was the point? What was the point of the tariffs? It was to apply pressure to the other country so that you would work out a better trade deal or something, like, or we would correct our border, or that we would become the 51st state of the U.S. I don't know. I mean, apparently Trump did post it on Truth Social. So, I mean, is that what's happening? He's just tariffing us so we will join the United States. So we'll be like, hey, we're screwed. We can't survive without you. Please take us. Please take us back. I don't know. God. What really peeves me off about all this is I've heard people say, well, hey, we have tariffs. So you know what that's going to do, right? It's going to get people to buy Canadian goods. Or if you're American, you buy American goods, right? Because you don't want to buy the tariff product, right? You want to buy the product that's made in your country now because it's cheaper. Or made from a country that potentially isn't being tariffed, but whatever. So it's supposed to bring jobs back to your country because now we got to make stuff here. We got to make it here. Because that's the only way not to pay a tariff. It's the only way to make things cheaper or whatever. So you're not paying this extra tax. So it's going to bring jobs to the country. How does that make any sense for the people who already have freaking jobs? We already have jobs. We don't need 3 jobs each. What are you talking about? The only way that helps anybody is that it's for the people who don't have jobs, for the 6.7% who don't in Canada who don't have jobs. So now they can find jobs, or we can bring people in to work these jobs, which will then just exacerbate our housing shortage, or product supply shortages, or whatever, because now we have more people here. What are you talking about? These people like Trudeau and COVID or whatever the hell has happened, he's already screwed our country up in terms of we can't afford anything for whatever the reason. Okay, I'm not even going to say him, but whatever the reason, our people feel like they have no money to buy stuff. To live, not even buy stuff, just to live, to pay your rent, pay for your car, your bus pass, your food, your clothing. They already feel like they don't have enough money. And now you're like, you know what we need to do? We need to like tariff shit. Like all these people doing this thing, tariffing or whatever the frick they're doing right now, whatever this game is that they're playing, it doesn't hurt all these rich people who are doing it. It just hurts us, the common people, the people who work a job. People are barely surviving on that. All these people do is just enrich themselves. When are we going to get richer, the common people? So we work jobs. When are our salaries going to go up? Every time you go to get a raise at the company or get an employee evaluation or whatever, they're like, well, we're going to give you the 1% or the 1.5 or 2%. You're like, oh, great, the 2% on whatever I'm making now. Let's say it's 80,000 a year. Oh, great, I went up like 1,000. I don't know, what is it? I can't do. I went up like $1,000, $2,000. Like it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And then they tax you on that, so you actually take home way less. On your paycheck, you get your 2%, and it's like, oh, I made an extra $65 this week. Woohoo, yay. Like, the rich and powerful don't care about our lives. These government people don't care about our lives. They're doing their own shit. Trump doesn't care about our lives. He doesn't give a fuck. And I don't know if he cares about the American people, frankly. Like, maybe ultimately these tariffs will work out and they'll be wonderful. I don't know. But right now, I mean, his own people are going to be paying 25% more or 10% more if it's oil and gas, whatever. It's like, come on, man. Seriously? And then he says, oh, we'll get rid of the income tax. It's like, dude, they collect so much more money from income tax. It's like, I don't know, trillions of dollars or some shit. You're going to make that much off of tariffs? Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe he'll reduce the income tax a few percentage points, something. Maybe that would be nice. But here in Canada, we're going to get none of that because literally we're paying these tariffs. So we'll just like to counter your tariffs, we're paying tariffs. So really, we're going to get nothing. Is basically what's going to happen. Because ultimately, when you think of Canada, we're 41,000 people, whatever, versus 300, 400,000 in US. So we're like 10%. I don't think we're getting a lot going on here, guys. And our Canadian dollar is literally down to 69 cents to a US dollar. So it's a 31-cent difference. It's like, bro, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothes.
Kind of weird to call it orange juice, but specifically, but I guess, yeah, we do get a lot from Florida or like California oranges, at least when I buy them. Usually it's like Florida or California, so okay. It's just kind of funny to single that one out.
Clothing and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much, much more. And as part of our response, we are considering, with the provinces and territories, several non-tariff measures, including some relating to critical minerals, energy, procurement, and other partnerships.
What does that even mean? Like, that's very ambiguous. Like, he's looking into some stuff, and I guess I kind of understand that he doesn't want to say it, but what does that even mean? Are we going to get screwed even more now? Like, oh my God. It's like the number one issue people said is that they can't afford stuff. And it's like, what? It's like the number one issue in the country right now. Yeah, just what we need. Thanks, people.
We will stand strong for Canada. We will stand strong to ensure our countries continue to be the best neighbors in the world. With all that said, I also want to speak directly to Canadians in this moment.
That our countries continue to be the best neighbors in the world. I don't know how this tariff stuff does any of that, so this is interesting. How does that do any of that? It's what?
I'm sure many of you are anxious, but I want you to know we are all in this together. The Canadian government, Canadian businesses, Canadian organized labor, Canadian civil society.
You know what? You know what? Just save it, Trudeau. Just save it. What do you mean we're all in this together? Here's what's going to happen, okay? Is this 25% tariff on whatever we're paying, the Canadian people will have to pay it. The business is not going to be like, you know what, we're going to absorb these 25% tariffs so you guys don't have to have any effect. You know, we're just going to take that on ourselves. We're going to be generous benefactors. You know, we're not going to pass that on to you. We're going to look after that. Don't you worry. No, I think we all know what's going to happen. We'll end up paying for it, and we're the ones getting screwed. So, whatever, just save your we're all in this together, because we're not all in this together.
Canada's premiers and tens of millions of Canadians from coast to coast to coast are aligned and united. This is
On
Team
what?
Canada at its best.
What are we aligned on? That we're going to charge ourselves tariffs and that we're going to have to avoid buying certain products and I don't know, and bring back in manufacturing and shit to our own country, I guess. Like,
there are many ways for you to do your part. It might mean checking the labels at the supermarket and picking Canadian-made products. It might mean opting for Canadian rye over Kentucky bourbon, or foregoing Florida orange juice altogether. It might mean changing your summer vacation plans to stay here in Canada and explore the many national and provincial parks, historical sites, and tourist destinations our great country has to offer.
see, that part I actually agree with, considering our dollar's at 69 cents to the American dollar. Yeah, I think we're going to have to stay here, or you're going to have to go to like Thailand or something where it's way cheaper.
Doing all of these things, or finding your own way to stand up for Canada. In this moment, we must pull together because we love this country. We pride ourselves on braving the cold during the long winter months. We don't like to beat our chests, but we're always out there, waving the maple leaf loudly and proudly.
Yeah. Usually people are just complaining when it's cold. I don't know about just waving a maple leaf. They're usually like, why is it so cold here? I wish it was somewhere warm. That's what's happening.
To celebrate an Olympic gold medal. Canada is home to bountiful resources, breathtaking beauty, and a proud people who've come from every corner of the globe to forge a nation with a unique identity worth embracing and celebrating. We don't pretend to be perfect, but Canada is the best country on earth. There's nowhere else that I and our 41 million strong family would rather be, and we will get through this challenge, just as we've done countless times before.
There's nowhere else are 41 million. Why did he say it like that? Million, like it's some big number, like a million. And then you go to the US and they're like, whatever it is, 360 million. And you're just like, okay. Or China, 2 billion. Why, why are we saying it like this for million? Like, it's in the comparison of other countries, it's not that big, like, not that impressive. It's kind of average, maybe? I don't know. And I don't know about all those people wanting to be here because there's a plethora of videos online of people being like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Canada stinks. And they're all saying they want to leave um, because of the things that your government did or had to handle and handled poorly or whatever has happened in the last 8 to 10 years. But whatever you guys did, people want to get the fuck out. So you could say that, but I mean, clearly you don't see what's going on in your own country. I don't know. So guys, I don't know what you think about this whole tariff thing. I don't understand how Canadians are going to afford stuff. I mean, it's just we're already strapped, and now they're just adding another thing onto us, which is really fucking pissing me off. Actually, I'm really pissed off. I may not look pissed off, but I'm actually very pissed off. And I don't know how our government failed to implement any sort of measures or talk to Trump and say, hey, what actually do you want us to do? Or like, how could we get around this? And, you know, whatever that discussion would be, except for Daniel Smith. She was the only one who seemed to want to try to talk to him. I don't understand. I don't. I think Trudeau actually did go down there, or somebody went down there, but the fact that we're in this position just clearly speaks to the fact that they did a shit job. So here we are. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say about this, but let me know what you guys think down below. I guess we'll probably start seeing the effects in the grocery store right away. Here we go. Rich people get richer and the common people get poorer.